Hello guys, very good morning to one and all, and today's topic is object oriented programming with Java, and this was 11th day of Java programming sessions. And here in this today's session we are going to learn something different from the previous session, and in previous session we have been learned about a few control flow statements, and the control flow statements we have divided into two parts. One is conditional statement and second one is loop statements, in which conditional statements we are almost done with the conditional statements. Now, today's basic intention is to work it on the while, or I mean to say loop statements. Before I am talking about the loop statements, let me quickly give you a few base differences between people may get some doubts, or people may get I mean to say confusion where I have to use the if else statement, where I have to use a switch statement. Okay, I'll just give you a simple and base differences between where you have to use if else statement and where you have to use switch statement. For example, when I am talking about if else statement, if else ladder, or you can call it as multiple if else statement, which is very similar to a switch statement, in which if you are being whatever the things you are also writing in if else statement or ladder, that will be you can also write with a switch statement also. So, what are the major differences we have in this? The major differences we need to talk about is, for example, whenever you want to write a specific condition, or example, I want to write an expression like a less than b or a greater than b or something like this. This kind of expression, when you want to write with a switch statement does not accept you to write any kind of expression. That is the main reason a switch will not be used whenever you want to test a expression kind of process. You can only test base values, and the value which is supported by input value, or the value which you are giving a input, the value which is already kept in your switch statement with the multiple cases. If any case does matches with the input format, then you can get the respective output as the base example. Am I very clear? So, that is the reason the base and major differences between your conditional statement, that is if else ladder, as well as switch statement is, and switch statements will not accept you to write an expression, whereas if else statement will accept you to write an expression. Right. In that time you have to think about, you have to think logically whether you are writing an expression or whether you are writing some other, right. Based on that, you just need to write your explanation, or you need to write your application development. Alright. So, today's my base concept is, today what I want to discuss is, I want to discuss something about loop statements. Yes. So, there are the three categories I was being discussed in the last session, right. I mean day before yesterday's session I was being discussed about it, right. So, something like what I can call it as a conditional, loop, as well as jump statement. The first category statements I was already finished. Now, today's topic is a loop statement. What is this loop statement basically do? This loop statements will execute some part of your program. What is that? Some part of your program can be repeated for multiple times. Mean to say that I have a program, or I have something in my program, some part of program I want to repeat at least for 4 times, or at least for 5 times. Sometime I want to repeat for 100 times. Okay. For example, if you think if you think about some kind of if else statement, what is if else statement does? If else statement is something which it's a step by step process. It's only single way, single direction, single line way. So, if it is executed for first time, it won't execute it for second time. Yes, means what? It's just a flow, it's just a flow one by one. Alright. So, whereas a loop statement, what it will do is, even though the part of program is executed for first time, yeah, second time, yeah, third time, but there are some chances that you can make repetition of that part of that program can be of multiple times. That is what we just discussed today now. So, that is something which we have a loop statement. In loop statements, again we have 3 categories here. The category 1 is while, the category 2 is do while, the category 3 is for loop. Yes. So, we do have a different statement, we will see on that. Okay. So, today we are being discuss about this particular thing, that is something called it as loop statement. These are the loop statements we have presented in our Java programming. One is while, second one is do while, and third one is for loop. Alright. So, while is a keyword, do is keyword, again while is keyword, for is also a keyword. Right. Remember one thing guys, whenever I am talking about a keyword, keyword always comes in a lowercase. Alright. So, that is a keyword which is already defined by the specific compiler designers, right. So, in that case you can't change the name of it, so that you have to use the same name how they have defined it. Alright. Yes, today is majorly we will start from first while loop, right. So, once we have completed a couple of examples on while loop, then we will go to the do while, then we will go to the for loop. Alright. So, now let me discuss about first while loop. What is this while loop? What does this while loop do? Let us find out here. The Java while loop is used to iterate the part of program for several times. Alright. What is mean to say that? For example, I have some part of program which I want to execute for multiple times. Then I do have to use any of the loop statement, in which the first I want to prefer is something like while loop. Okay. So, you have a 3 loops, but I will let you know what are the differences one by one once we learn one by one. Okay. Alright. So, if the number of iterations is not fixed, means what, you doesn't know how many times that part of program you want to execute, it is not exactly as a programmer you know that, right. For example, you know what, simple as that. For example, you want to repeat the loop sometime for 10 times, right, sometime for 20 times, sometime for 100 times. In that case, you are not a constant, you are not fixed on the particular part, so that it is the best or it is recommended for you to use compulsory while statement is. Am I very clear on this guys? Right. So, here you can just look after here, while is a keyword, follows by Boolean condition is a condition which you have to define. As a user you have to define it. Here this iterations is not constant, sometimes changes according to the user input and all these things. In that case you can use while loop, that is very recommended version. And you have several statements which will be presented here. The statements can be a 1 statement, sometimes statements can be a 10 statement, you may find sometime around 100 statements also. And followed by you do have some increment and a decrement operator. This increment operator or decrement operator, it is one of the unary operator which we have already discussed in earlier class, right. So, if you or someone of you or friends or someone of you is not are good at increment and decrement operators, I recommended you to go for a previous session, right. In that we have discussed about operator concept. In one of the operator we have discussed something called increment and decrement operator. Please look after that. Yes. Alright, understood. Please note it down the points which is displayed on your screen. Alright. So, the first one is the while loop is used to iterate the part of program for several times, where if a number of iterations are not fixed or number of iterations are not, even a programmer also you doesn't know what is that. So, in that time it is very recommended for you to use compulsory while loop. Alright. So, now let me go for the next one where you understand it very easily, that is something called a flow chart. What is that flow chart is? First, while do have a condition here, the condition will be tested here first of all. Means what, before you control enters here, the condition will be tested here itself. Means what, the condition which is defined by you, because as a programmer you have to know how many what kind of condition you want to define here. So, I do want to define a condition here, the condition whatever I can define here which always returns you 2 values, either true or false. Yes or no? Means what, I told you that any kind of condition which basically returns you 2 parts, one is true or false. In case the condition whatever you have written here that is not correct, nothing but if the condition here returns false, directly the control goes to end of your while block, nothing but it won't execute a single statement, it will not execute a single statement from the block of code. It directly goes to out of the while block, where if any statements are presented after the while block, that place it will start executes. For example, imagine that for example, the first time the condition whatever you have defined here, if it is true, then it is going to check the condition it's true, so that it's a code block, nothing but the block of code which is presented within that while block will be get executed. So as soon as executed, the control will not directly goes to end here. So again what it will do is all this loop statement will goes to start place where your condition is defined. Nothing but once your block of code is executed for the first time, it directly will not go out. It directly will not go out. First it checks check the condition, true, block of code get executed, again then again it go back to the first place where your condition is defined. Again it will test the condition, right. Imagine that again second time also it is returns true. Your block of code is executed for second time, and once again it go back to the place where your condition is defined. Your condition is defined here. Again your condition will be tested. Alright. So once your condition is tested for second time, then imagine that again it is returns true and it will execute this block of code. So then again it go back to the place where your condition is defined. Alright. So like that it will execute the condition continuously unless or until the condition is returns false. If a condition is returns false, directly it get back to the position where the loop statements are ended, or loop command or loop while loop is finished. Hope you understand. Please draw this flowchart on your things, okay, so that it will be very easy to identify whenever you want to do for next thing. Now right now what I want to do is I just want to show you a simple demonstration how this while loop does work. Say lang.start. Yes, this is a default package I want, and followed by I need one more package called util package, and the class name is connect class. Alright. So this class which is required whenever I am taking an input from the user. Say let us say first thing is I just want to write the class name is a while loop, or I will say demo 1 2, or I will say 2 1, demo 2 1 is my class name. Every class do require some kind of a method which has to be execute your class, that is something called it as main method. Yes, right. So now once you return this particular method, nothing but your program is able to execute this. Okay. So I do want to define a variable, nothing but what I want to do in this particular program is I want to print, right, I want to print the numbers from 0 to say 10. So now what will happen is if I want to print the numbers from 0 to 10, what I will do is every time I will write like this. For example, system.out.println, I will write to print the number value as 0 first of all. Then I will go to write, I will write one more system.out.println, alright. Here I will try to print the number as 1, alright. Like this I can also write the number 2 like this, right. So how many statement does I need to write here? I need to write almost 10 different statements I need to write, so that it will print you. Now let us imagine this, if I want to print 0 to 10, I will write the 10. For example, if the number is increases to 100, you have to write 100 statement. If the number is increases to one more, that is you have to write 1000 statement. What will happen here? As soon as the number is increasing, you have to increase your system.out.println statements, right. So what will happen is as soon as this particular program is increasing it, as soon as this program is increasing, your length of the program will become small. Yes? Yes or no? Means to say that just same that system.out.println, this system.out.println has been written per 1000 times. Alright. So if I am writing for 1000 times, it is just as simple as that, it is a waste. Alright. instead of that, if I write a simple loop, right, I will write a simple loop. Okay. So, in this loop what I want to do is I will just write only one system.out.println. I will just say system.out.println, alright. So, this println I will write for only single time, but this single println statement will print you the value for around 100 times. Okay. Alright. So, I will do one thing. I'll just have numbers from 0 to 100, right, or 0 to 10, right. I'll just print this 10 numbers without writing 10 particular statements here. Now, how do I write it is, alright. So, now let me write int I, a variable where I value I am defining base value to 0, nothing but default value I am defining here, that is something called 0 now, alright. So, now what I will do is, I will try to write a while statement, or I try to write a simple while block or while loop. So, what is a while loop has to be? While is a keyword followed by open and close parenthesis. Within this close and open parenthesis, right, I do write some boolean condition here. What is the condition I want to write? This depends on me because it is a user defined condition, right. So, I do write the condition, call it as I supposed to be less than or equals to 10. Yes, I supposed to be less than or equals to 10. What will happen now? I want to print system.out.println. I want to print the value of I is equals to plus I, then I will try to increment it. By default it is 0, right. So, I will write it as I plus plus, nothing but it has to be incremented. Now, how the execution process does take place here? Now, let me see, let me tell you, let me check it once again by manually first time. Okay. Alright, please attention guys here. First, the value of I is defined it as 0 here, right. So, now as soon as the value is defined it as 0, it check this condition, nothing but 0 is less than or equals to 10. So, what it will return you? Right, obviously it will return you true because 0 is less than or equals to 10. So, that it will execute this particular system.out.println statement. The moment it is executed for first time, what is the value will be printed? 0 will be printed, yes or no? The value of I is what? 0, right? So, 0 will be printed. Now, after that what is doing is, what we are doing in this program is we are trying to increment I plus plus. What it mean to say that it has to be incremented by 1, right. First it is 0, now it is becomes as 1. Now, as soon as executed for first time, just now I told you that directly the control will not go out of this particular block, compulsory it do check the condition again. So, what is the condition now? Previously I value is 0, now it is becomes as 1. 1 is less than or equals to 10, correct. So, now what will happen is, first time already 0 is printed, now it will be print the value of 1. Then your value of I becomes 2 because it is I plus plus, 1 becomes 2, right. So, now what will happen is 2 less than or equals to 10, correct. So, now system.out.println previously 0 and 1 is already printed, now it will print the value as 2, now your I value becomes as 3, right. Now, again it do check the condition here. What is the condition we have defined here? I value has to be 3 is less than or equals to 10, system.out.println I value will be printed previously 2, now it will be print the value as 3, now your value will be incremented as 4, yes. Now, this process will be repeated and all the time the condition is true, the value let us see up to let us imagine that it is 10 now, yes, 10 is less than or equals to 10, correct. Like this the value 1, 2, 3 are printed up to 10. Now, value of I becomes 11, 11 is less than or equals to 10, right, 11 is less than or equals to 10, wrong. The moment when the condition is wrong, there is no statements is executed from this block. See that this is a block of code which has been presented in while statement, no statement is executed within from this block, directly it goes to out of the while block and start executing the statements after that. Yes, do understand on this? Now, let me show you the output for this particular program is, okay. So, what is the program name? let's say demo 2.1, alright, because the name of my class is 2.1, right. I will just write it as same name here, demo 2.1 dot every program of Java extension is .java. Yes, we are saving all programs in the same directory. Now I am also saving the same file in the directory. Now let me open the command prompt and execute this particular thing, alright. So now what is this particular command prompt? Command prompt in the directory of C drive. Now my program is in the D drive. Now let me shift it to one backslash, one more backslash, and shift to the drive, shift to the folder name, called it as Java programming is. Yes, this is the programming I just want to shift into this, and in this particular program we are storing all the files here. Now let me check the file name where it is actually, right. The file name is what we have just now created is demo 2.1, right. So you will find here demo 2.1.java here, alright. So you have got the file name here, yes, alright. So now once you got the file name, I do want to clear the screen first, okay. So I want to execute this particular program. How to execute any Java program? Java C followed by demo 2.1 is my name of file, alright. .java is an extension to compile this particular Java program is. Compile this program. If you have any errors, it will be listed out over there. If does not have any errors, then it won't print you that, okay. So for example, let's see, this is your thing. After that I just want to execute some kind of Java program. How do I execute? Java followed by demo 2.1 is the statement to execute your program, right. See that what is the output, you got it here. You got the output of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 10, yes or no, right. Simple as that. For example, how many statements we have written? Even though I want to print for 10 times, I just written only one statement here, yes or no. So as soon as if I want to, instead of writing a 10 system.out.println statements, I have written only one in this particular program is. Sometimes I want to print it somewhere around up to 50. Yes, what I'll do is I'll just change the condition. I don't want to modify anything in my program. I'll just compile my program. Then as soon as if I compiled, I'll execute this program. Now let's see that what is the output you got from here. You got the output for the program starts from the value of I starts from 0 to up to 50. Just see that you got all the values here, 0, 1, 2, 3 up to incremented 10 previously. Now it directly get the values up to 50. Now instead of writing all this statement, we have written only for one time, yes. So that's the reason whenever you want to execute some part of program for several times or multiple times, depends on you, then you have to write any one of your statement is. Right now I am going to show you with an example of while block is. Am I very clear, guys? Alright. So now let me show you one more example of same say a while block only. Yes. For example, let me show you one thing. Okay. So first thing is class. I'm writing a demo 2.2 is my class name. Alright. So before I'm writing a class name, I do want to import a package name called java.lang package, and this is the default package for me, and followed by I want to import one more package called it as java.util. Alright. So Java class and a class I'm writing here. So every program of Java required one program, one method, that is something called it as static main method, which represents you something called it as args. Yes, once you done with this, alright. So what I want to do here is I just want to write something called it as what I'll do is, for example, alright. So I do want to write a name, right. So for example, I have given a name of my string is say APSSDC. Yes, alright. So I have given a name to my string, that is something called as this one. Now what I'll do is I'll ask to the user system dot out dot println, enter how many times, enter a number or a digit, how many times how many times this string has to be printed. Yes, I just want to enter some number, so that if I am enter some number from my keyboard and how many times I have entered. For example, I was entered for 10 times, so that this APSSDC has to be print for 10 times. For example, if I want to execute, or if I am giving a input as 100, this APSSDC has to be print for 100 times, right. So if I want to do read any input, I do write some scanf class object. So class object name is C1 new scanner class, where I'll write the name of this object as system dot in. Yes, this is an input, you just need to give it to a program, where your C1 object have a method name called next int. What is this next int method will do is, it's trying to read some integer value. Before I'm writing this string, I do write one integer, right, number variable I'll take. Okay. So what is this number variable value is? Number variable value which is given by the user from the input keyboard. Yes or no? So now we have done with this particular thing. So now what I'll do is, I'll write a program, or I'll write this particular value, where how many times it has to repeat, and this many number of times I have to print. Yes or no? Is it clear, guys? Here I have to print for a number of times, nothing but this number sometime 10, this number sometime 100, this number sometime 1000. Nothing but depends on this particular input, or depends on this particular input which is given by the user, and from that this many number of times you have to print. So how do I print it? It is pretty simple. I write some variable I which is base define it as 0. Now what I'll do is, I is supposed to be less than or equals to number, right. I is supposed to be equals to a number. Then I'll write it as system dot out dot println. I'll write a string variable name, and I'll write the value has to be incremented. Yes. Now let me show you the output for this particular program. What is our program name? demo22.java is my program name, and I do save all the files which is in the same directory. Demo22 is my program name, as same as my application. Now let me shift to command prompt, right. So just clear the screen. Java C demo22.java is my name of the file. Let me compile this program first. I don't have any errors in this particular program. I do execute this particular command, Java followed by demo22. Execute this, and it is asking for a number and how many times you want to print the string. Alright, so I didn't want to print for 15 times. So now how many times APSSDC is printing? Let me check it for, it will be printed for 15 times. Let's see, 5, 10 or 15. Alright. So if you given the number as what? 15. Now it will be printed for 15 times. Okay. For example, alright. So less than or equals to for 15 times, right? So now again do compile this particular program. Yes, again execute this demo22, right? Asking for a number. Let's say I just want to print for only 2 times. Yes, but it is printing for 3 times. Why? It just because of the condition what we have written here. The condition has written here I less than or equals to and nothing but if I am just remove this equals, right. So this will be printed for how many times? Let me check it once again. Yes, execute it. I want to only print for 2 times. Now how many times it is printed? Just only for 2 times. Nothing but see that here it starts from 0, right, 0, 1, 2, nothing but how many times it will be printed? 0, 1, 2, nothing but how many times it will be printed? Basically it will print for 3 times, so that previously when you printing it, it is for 3 times. When you correct your program, it is for 2 times. Yes or no? Just you need to change the condition here. For example, right, for example, I don't want to print for the 2 times. For example, I want to print for 100 times. Pretty simple. Just again you can compile your program, right. So I'll just execute this, right, say 100 times. Your APSSDC will be printed. This string whatever I have written here, this will be printed for 100 times. You can just count it. It will be for 100 times compulsory. Yes, this will be print for 100 times, right. Hope you understand how this working process of while loop is. Am I very clear, guys? Right. So, what I just want to tell you right now is I just want to write some practical implementation. Okay. So, I will take one best example. We'll try to print some base multiplication table with the help of while loop, because you can just check it out in multiplication table, right? Every time, if for example, if I want to build a 5 table, so what I'll do is 5 cross 1, 5 cross 2, 5 cross 3, 5 cross 4, like this, right? So, in this case, what will happen is every time the value which is changing, right, the value of 1, 2, 3, 4, yes or no? So, this value is changing, the number 5 is constant, the multiplication is again changing, right. So, the multiplication will take care by cross operator, we does not care about it, but only one thing is we need to talk about how do you build a logic to print the numbers or print the multiplication table for 5 cross 1, 5 cross 2, 5 cross 3, something like this. Very clear? Yes? Now, let me take you, let me show you one more example on the same place. Yes, in this particular program, what I want to do is I want to build multiplication table for any multiplication table for any random input. Yes, we just need to print the numbers, or we just need to go for any random number you can give an input. For that, it needs to generate the output for this. All right. So, how do I do it? Let me say demo 2 3, right. So, now let me show you public static void main, right, say string yes. Now, in this particular thing, yes, first thing is I do want to print, first thing is I will define a variable, right. So, to define an input, to take an input, I will define a variable called number, right. This number I will just take it from an input from the user, system dot, right, out dot println, asking a user to enter a number for which yes, understood. Now, I just want to asking for a user to enter some number. So, for which you want to generate a multiplication table, right. So, I will just take an input here. Before I am talking about input, so let me take input java.lang.star is a default package for me, and java.util. There is one more package I need, that is something called scanner class. All right. So, first thing is I do define a object to it, first thing. So, how do I define it? A scanner class, object name is C2, right, new scanner class object, right. So, input is system.in is a input for this particular program is, right. Once you define an input to this, right, C2 dot, right, next int is a method which reads your input format, right. So, now let me show you number is equals to this one. Yes, now you got the number value, right. For example, someone user wants to see the output for multiplication table of 5, sometimes 7, sometime 9 or sometime 15. So, he will enter the number, but as a user what you need to do is you need to build the logic to this, right. So, build the logic to this particular thing. So, how this build the logic is? Now, let me understand very carefully about this particular example. All right. So, now let me show you a best example. I will just want to show you here. Yes, do try to observe the few things in this particular thing. Imagine that my input is 5, right, 5 cross 1, right, second time is 5 cross 2, third time is 5 cross 3. Yes, like this you can write any number of things, like you can write up to 5 cross 10 or 5 cross 20, or that depends on you. All right. So, let me say 5 cross 10. So, what happened in this way, 5 is a constant number in always, right? Nothing but I can just say that this 5 is as pretty simple as that. I can just say that 5 is the input of this particular user, yes or no, right? And the second thing is, what you need to make one more observation in this particular logic is the value which is changing from where it is changing from sometime 1 to 10, sometime it is maybe 1 to 20, sometime it may be 1 to 30. So, we know this particular logic, how do you increment and how do you decrement, right? First you define the value to 1, increment it, increment it, increment it, increment it up to what? A 10. Sometime it may be a 20 also, sometime it may be a 30 also. You just need to increment that particular values, right? So, the cross multiplication just give you the output anyhow, yes. So, for that what I will do is I will just do one thing, alright, implementing a logic. First I require a while loop key is simple as that. I just need to write simple local variable concept. Local variable is what? I, alright. By default I can't define it to 0 now, because if I say 0, 5 cross 0 is 0, no meaning to it. So, I want to define it from 1 now. So, how do I define it? How many times it has to repeat? Let us see, I want to build a logic for I is less than or equals to, or how many times? Sometime if you want to print it for 10, you just need to write 10. Yes, you want to make a multiplication table sometime for 10 times, you just need to write this, alright. Okay. Then what I will do is, I do write incrementation. Now, previously the first time value is 0, it will be incremented 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, something like this, yes or no? This is the way how this values will be incremented. But only one thing will left here, we need to write a system dot out dot println. What is the statement we need to write? First time is the value of I. What is the value of I? I mean to say number, right? So, I need to write a number value first of all, right? Then it cross multiplied with the value of what? I. So, that what you will get right now is, you will get the value of something like you will get the value of something like 5 cross 1, 5, 5 cross 2, 10. Okay, now let me show you output up to this, then I will try to modify my program now. Say demo 2.3, right? Extension of this program is .java. Try to save with all files here. Save this particular program. Now, let me first check it out, what is the logic for this, okay. So, now we are looking for the file name called demo 2.3 here. Yes, we got the file name called demo 2.3 here, and we need to compile this particular 2.3 now, right. Say java c followed by demo 2.3.java, compile this, execute this particular program, asking for a number which you want to generate, say 5. Yes, it is got generated multiplication table, right, see that, but it is not expected how we are, right. We are expecting the values to be printed in this way, right. 5 cross 1 is equals to 5, 5 cross 2 is equals to 10, 5 cross 3 is equals to 15, 5 cross 4 is equals to 20, something like you want to print like that. But what is the output we got printed here? We got printed the value like expected value to correct. See that 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So, if I do changes in my program, see that instead of printing only for 10 values, if I do write for 20 times, what will happen now? Let me compile this particular program again, because I have changed something in my program, right, execute it, asking for a number, I am giving a number, right. So, how many times it is printing again? It is printing for exactly 20 times there, yes, at logic correct. But as what we are expected, we are expecting to print something like this, right. So, we are expecting to print the value something like 5 cross 1 is equals to, right, something like 5 cross 1 is equals to 5, next 5 cross 2 is equals to 10. But how, what we are getting is, we are getting only these two values, right. We are getting 5, 10 and 15 and 20 and 25, something like this. But how do you get this particular part? That is what most important thing is, yes or no? Now, let me go to this particular program and change this particular value here, yes or no. So, first thing is I do want to write num, right. I want to concatenate this num, right, num with a cross sign, right. Next, I do want to concatenate with this, I value, because a I value directly printed will not be directly printed here I. So, again I do concatenate with something like this. Now, let me show you how this printf statement is, right. I mean to say println statement is number in the sense 5. Now, you have a cross sign, I value is 1 is equals to the both multiplication of number cross I, yes. Now, let me save this particular program, right. First clear the screen, compile your program and execute it, asking for a number is 5, and see that you got the output as what we are expected, yes or no. Just check it out here, see that 5 cross 1 is equals to 5, 5 cross 2 is equals to 10, something like this, up to 10 it is 50, up to 20 it is 100. So, it is only one thing is you need to customize this particular system.out.println statements. Here first number value I am concatenating with one particular basically a string. So, what is a string I am writing in this? I am writing a cross sign. Then I value I am concatenating with equal sign, right. So, that your expected output will be printed in this particular format is, yes. For example, just do one thing, try to change the condition I is greater than or equals to 10. Is the condition is correct here? See that what is the value of I here? Let me say the value of I is 1, right. For example, I value is greater than or equals to 20, 1 is greater than or equals to 20, is it correct? No, nothing but any statement does it execute from the statement block. Now, let me check it, asking for number 5, but anything is executed from the while block here, anything you got the output from while block? No, nothing but your control does not enters even into this while block, right. So, directly it will instead execute this particular part. Now, let me show you system.out. say println, right. I can say out of while loop or while block, right. Now, save this particular program. In the same situation, I am compile this particular program now, execute this particular program asking for a number 5, but it will not enter any, it will not execute anything, it directly goes to out of the block and it is executing the statements out of the while loop is nothing but directly it is executing nothing but once a condition is false, no statements will not execute from this particular while block. Automatically the control will skip this while block, instead of that it start executing the statements immediate after that particular while block code is. Is it clear, guys? Is it clear? Please you have to know how to write the logic for this particular program is, right. So, if you understand one example carefully, writing another examples is pretty simple. Yes, am I very clear on this, guys? Any doubts? All right. So, with this part I just want to wind up the part on the while block. Now, let me tell you are two very important points on the while blocks here, right. Please note it down. The point number 1, it will execute a while loop as long as the condition is returns true. Unless if a condition is returns false, the no statements is executed from while block. And second thing is, in while block first condition will be tested and after that statements will be get executed. If condition is false, no statement is executed. If condition is true, then the statements which is presented inside the while block will be get executed. Am I very clear on this while loop? Right. Hope you understand the while loop properly, and I hope each and every candidate who is listening these sessions is also practicing on the examples what we are discussing in the class. All right. So, I guess it's the timer for the day, right. So, I am just wind up the session for today, right. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. By the way, I am Anil Kumar. I am the trainer of APSSDC.